Today, the Supreme Court will hear a case that could turn out to be one of the most significant rulings on religious freedom in the past 40 years. Religious freedom in the workplace is now on the docket.
The case is about a Christian mail carrier who quit his job after facing pressure to work on Sundays. Matt Gelka spoke with Gerald Groff about his fight to make sure religious freedom is protected.
Welcome to Lancaster County in rural Pennsylvania, the latest battleground for religious freedom. It's here that Gerald Groff served as a postman starting back in 2012.
In the countryside, as opposed to a city carrier who delivers it in town, and using my own vehicle, driving from the passenger seat with my leg and my left arm across, driving the steering wheel and operating the pedals. And I would just go out and deliver my route.
Groff saw the job as a natural fit because with no mail delivery on Sundays, he could observe Sabbath.
I was raised in a Christian family. There was no question about working on Sunday. We always refrained from working on the Lord's Day.
Then Sunday service changed. Groff says when the USPS entered into an agreement with Amazon to deliver packages, a collective bargaining agreement had him scheduled for some Sunday shifts. At first, he found ways to work around it.
I did extra work during the week. For example, on a Saturday, we had an auxiliary route, which is like a half of a route, and there would be nobody to cover that often because of a lack of staff. So I would be delivering a full route, an 8-hour shift, and then come back and take the auxiliary route as well. And in that way, I was demonstrating to my coworkers that I was doing my part as well.
Groff eventually transferred to a different location that hadn't yet started delivering on Sundays. That changed in 2017. Unable to always find coworkers to cover his Sunday shifts, Groff got into trouble for not showing up. After years of tension, Groff quit in 2019 and sued the Postal Service. His case has made it all the way to the Supreme Court.
I said, I feel like you're backing me into a corner, asking me to choose if I'm going to honor God or am I going to obey you as my authority, and my employer. I said, I mean no disrespect to you as my employer, but I have to choose God.
What's at stake is how many accommodations employers have to make based on religion. A 1977 SCOTUS decision requires workers be reasonably accommodated for their religious beliefs without undue hardship on the employer. A lower court ruled that Groff's request for Sundays off created a burden for coworkers and his workplace. Randall Wenger helped get his case to the High Court.
I think the message for everyone is our rights rise and fall together. So be out there rooting for Gerald because that's the liberty that we can all enjoy.
Members of Congress, including Senators Tim Scott, Marco Rubio, and James Lankford, are backing Groff with a brief encouraging the court to revisit the definition of undue hardship.
Let's protect the right for an individual to live their faith. If a person is a Muslim and they need to be able to pray 5 times a day and we can adjust around that for them to be able to do that, why wouldn't we do that? If a person is a Christian faith that says they're very strict on the Sabbath and they want to be able to do that, why wouldn't we adjust around that to be able to allow them to be able to live this faith? This is a basic human dignity issue that we shouldn't step on.
Other religious groups are also supporting Groff, as his case could have a far-reaching impact on the future of faith in the workplace.
I really can't change what happened to me. That's in the past. But my motivation would be that if we win, first, we glorify God, and second, that we protect religious freedom so that doesn't happen to somebody else here in America.
Here at the Supreme Court, oral arguments for the case are scheduled to begin April 18th. A decision could be one of the most consequential religious freedom determinations of the past 40 years. Matt Gelka, CBN News.
Well, this is a significant case and worth watching and worth praying for, to say, do we have religious freedom in the United States? Is my job at risk when I celebrate the Sabbath, or I celebrate Christmas Day, or I celebrate Easter? These are very important holidays to our faith, and these are days where we honor God by saying, okay, I'm not going to work today. I grew up in Virginia, and in Virginia back in the 1960s, stores weren't allowed to be open. You weren't allowed to do these things. And then slowly over time, first it was the pharmacies. Well, we need to have them open so people can get their prescriptions filled on Sunday. Why they couldn't get them filled on Saturday, I don't know. But they said, okay, we'll open pharmacies. And then it was, well, we need to be able to provide food, and grocery stores were open. The restaurants were always open on Sunday. But, once those two came through, then Sunday became a big shopping day. But that's not in accordance with what the Bible sets out. The Bible's quite specific. It's a day of rest. You're not supposed to buy or sell on Sunday. But we seem to, as a culture, to be completely abandoning that. And now let's get our deliveries all done on Sunday. Well, we need to stand up for people of faith that say, no, I want to obey what Scripture says. I want to honor God on the Sabbath. And this is one that, yes, we need to watch and make sure that this one goes through. When the Supreme Court makes law, because that's what they've done here, reasonable accommodation is their legislation from the bench, they need to make sure that it's open. And we say, okay, Congress shall pass no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof.